Good evening and welcome to Feel Good Talk Love 101. I'm your host, Charles Brakely, along with the host of Love 101, my brother, Naeem Najib. What's going on, Naeem?
On mute. That's what's going on. Now I'm on. How are you, Charles?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. And we have some special guests tonight with us. So we have Ebony here, and we also have Crisco. We also have Dreddy Gal. She's in the chat room. HT Lovejoy as well, and Shannon. So how's everyone doing out there?
Doing good.
Doing
How are
great.
you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Every time I get on Love 101, Feel Good Talk Love 101, and I always learn something new. So I'm ready to learn tonight. And I know we have an interesting topic, so we're going to get that going in a few seconds. But before we get going, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, the A Game, and I'm going to let them tell you exactly who they are. Here we go.
This is A Game, an all-natural herbal dietary supplement formulated exclusively for men. Our proprietary blend was designed with one goal in mind: to improve your overall health, rejuvenating your vitality, energy, strength, and libido. Want to be at your peak performance in everything you do? Then bring your A Game. Fast-acting, long-lasting, with no side effects.
Oh my God.
And there you have it, the A Game. I know the ending is kind of funny. I know it's kind of weird at the end, but again, that's the A Game. If you want your free sample of the A Game, give me a call at 302-723-2836. Again, 302-723-2836 to see the benefits of the A Game. Now, Naeem, I know we got an interesting topic tonight, and maybe the A Game might be, the answer for that one as well. But again, I'll let you talk about the topic. What's going on with this topic tonight?
Well, tonight's topic is polyamory and open relationships, with a subtopic of that we're exploring: jealousy, commitment, loyalty, freedom, possession, all that sort of thing, and just relationships and the purpose for them. So that's going to come into the conversation. This is an ongoing conversation. I have an announcement to make at the end of the conversation about a project I'm working on that this conversation is an introduction to. And I don't think we really addressed this directly, but since this is a popular topic with relationships and love, especially these days, and it's actually become quite a, like a fad or, something that people are really getting into, then I want to bring some clarity to it and at least ask some questions so we can think a little deeper about it, because all that you know is not all there is to know. And my goal here is to offer ideas and to facilitate a conversation that can help us all grow in some way and use what we learned in our lives moving forward, starting today. So, yes.
Okay, awesome. So, how's everybody else doing tonight? Everybody good? Ebony, Crisco, how you doing tonight? I know I asked you earlier, but just want to make sure everybody's still there, still with us. That's all.
Definitely still here. Y'all. I don't know what it looks like for you, but I see 4 people in a corner.
Yeah, it's 4 of us here, yo.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm doing well. Hi, Ebony. Yeah, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be on.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to join us.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since July, I think.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Well, hey, man, thanks for joining us again. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. So.
I'm happy to learn and be here and contribute any way I can.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Ebony?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to the topic. Sounds interesting. Exploration, understanding, knowledge. I have my pen and my pad, so I am ready to take notes.
Okay, awesome. Same here. Because, like I said, I always learn something when I'm here with Naeem, and he always has something good. So, Naeem, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do your thing, man. Take over and do what you do.
So let's go back to go forward. And for those who haven't seen or heard from me or about me, then let me just give my basic purpose here. My basic purpose here is to open a conversation about love and healthy relationships, and emphasis on the healthy part, not just relationship talk, not just opinionated talk, not just talking to talk, but actually delving into the deeper meaning and purpose behind relationships and the universal principles that govern healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships, and in common terms, love and fear. So we talk about love and fear, and Love 101. It's just like, English 101 or Psychology 101. It's just about the introduction to what is love and what is it not. And so I offer another way of looking at love. That's what my my company, my group, our community, we're here to open-mindedly express ideas about love in a progressive way, to be pioneers for a new paradigm about love and healthy relationships. And so I invite everybody on here to join the conversation. So we welcome your feedback, your questions, your insights, because that's what drives the conversation. I'm not just here to talk, and I can talk all day, and I don't like necessarily just talking. We're here so we can talk together. So as I said, welcome Arizel. Thanks for joining. Hope she can hear us yet, but
Roselle, okay.
Yeah, she's frozen. So when she comes back, oh, there she is.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so as I said, let's go forward about. So before you take notes, let's refresh what we always go over, and you already know the 5 fundamental principles of love and fear. So can you share my screen, Charles?
Yes, sir.
So here we go. So we got the facts of love and fear. So here is very simple. Mind you, each side, there's 5 principles, all right? 5 fundamental principles of love and fear. And each side spells out the word facts. So here are the facts you need to know. And again, I offer ideas. I don't criticize or put down anyone's ideas. I'm just sharing what the truth is about love and fear, and everyone's entitled to believe what they want. But these are universal principles, which means that they are the same for every person in every situation, every time. And from this state, if you can just have this, then you'll be able to make a lot of progress in your clarity around relationships, whatever kind of relationships you are in, that you desire, that you've been in. You can look back, look forward, look in your present, and see that everything is governed by this. So fear, also known as unhealthy relationships, have these principles that govern them. Fear, of course, you're afraid most of the time. Attack, anger, also known as abuse for the A. The C, we got conflict. It's always some kind of conflict, arguments and stuff. Trauma, have emotional wounds up in there. And ultimately separation, not just physical separation. I'm talking about that heart separation where you feel shut down. You don't feel love in that relationship anymore. That's what unhealthy relationships, that's the principles of them. So on the other side, we got love. What governs healthy relationships is freedom. Freedom to be yourself and for everyone else to be themselves. Appreciation, mutual appreciation, communication, of course. Everybody will say that communication is a key to a healthy relationship. And of course, trust, and then sincerity. Saying what you mean what you say. And so those are the 5 fundamental principles of love and fear, also known as healthy and unhealthy relationships. So now as we shift into polyamory and open relationships, we want to start with, well, what is it? What is polyamory and open relationship? Let's start with that, because we all probably have different ideas swirling in our heads. So if everyone on here could just give a brief idea of what you think it means. Let's give us a sentence or two, starting with you, Charles. And also those on the backstage, Shannon, HT, anyone else here, anyone on Facebook, you're free to answer this question. What is polyamory to you? What does it mean to you? And open relationship. Go ahead.
For me, it's having a relationship with more than one person. And it's I guess, and it's a mutual agreement between everybody. That's what I get out of it.
Thanks, Charles. Ebony.
If I had to define it in my understanding, I would say building, open building for a future of a legacy. It's so many possibilities when you have multiple like-minded people who are willing to grow together. That's what it would mean to me.
Thank you, Ebony. Crisco.
Well, breaking down the word many loves, polyamory, you know, that's how I see it. It is kind of engaging in relationships that serve one another, serve a purpose, or fulfill you know, a purpose, shared goals, feelings. We can't be everything for one another, you know, so it's important to relate with others and find common ground in other people that one person might not be able to. And it's not a fault. It's just who we are. We're human beings. So, you know, many loves, relating, many friendships, many, and they don't have to be romantic in polyamory as well. So,
Chris Cole. I was about to ask that question. Stop jumping ahead.
Sorry.
Stop jumping ahead, even though I didn't tell you that there's no ahead or behind. Don't be jumping ahead. No, it's good. No, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. You said it doesn't have to be romantic. But go ahead. Continue.
Well, I mean, I think it can end there because I want to, you know, move on for Arizal too. It definitely want to be quick, and we have a whole hour to talk about stuff. But that, you know, are kind of like, you know, upfront feelings about like what polyamory is, kind of to me, what it is, what it feels like, how I use polyamory in my life, practice it, etc.
Thank you. That's what we want to know. So thank you for answering the question so deeply. Arizal?
Very similar to what Crisco was saying. It's to have many loving relationships. For me, it means community, that you are building a community of loving relationships. And they could be any kind of relationship, whether they be platonic, familial, romantic, or sexual. Yeah, that's essentially how I look at polyamory.
I love that community because that's true. That you're building that kind of like community, you know, a network for yourself and others that feels safe and comfortable. You can have the best life that you can, you know, that you want for yourself.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm just going to recap real quick. So Charles, I've been taking notes. Charles was saying many relationships, a romantic with the consent of everyone involved. You can correct me if I'm off. Ebony, you said building like-minded people, building together. Crisco said sharing goals, and it doesn't have to be romantic, breaking down the word, polyamory, many loves, etc. Arizal said community, many loving relationships can be platonic, familiar, etc. And again, y'all can jump in if I misquoted you. And Dreddy Gal says in the chat here, loving and living freely. Okay, thank you for that, Dreddy Gal. And anyone else on Facebook or in the chat, please add your thoughts.
We did have somebody, Izzy meditates. She says, hello, everyone. And hello, hands, fragrance, body care. This is Melissa. She says hello to everyone. So again, that's all I have over here. So
okay, well, thank you. And so we got a very rich response. Thank you for responding. Except you, Naeem. What do you think it is? Well, you know, I don't know. My real goal is just to open the conversation up for it. I think I can serve us by looking it up and seeing what it says. What is a internet definition? So let me look up polyamory definition, and then I'm going to share my screen, and we'll see what it says here. All right. So if you could share my screen, I'm going to share it in a moment. Okay. You see, okay, so we got here the philosophy, a state of being in love or romantically involved with more than one person at the same time. And, you know, practicing being open in intimate relationships with more than one person. Dating as polyamorous means you're not looking for one person to share romantic or sexual connection with. Let's see, let's get one more. All right. Let's see. Separate from polyamory as philosophical basis, relationships are practical ways in which people, handle certain issues and comparative more monogamous arrangement. All right, so all the things we read here so far have to do mainly with romantic and sexual definitions. And again, that's why I asked the people who are here using their time and energy to join the conversation what it means to you, because I don't know what it means to you. And we could be talking about, so somebody could be talking about sex, somebody could be talking about building community, somebody could be talking about romance, somebody could be talking about friendship, and someone could be talking about loving and living freely. And we're talking about different things, but we're using the same word. So now that we've used this word to explore what we mean by it, the question becomes, going back to the facts of love and fear, if a healthy relationship has to do with freedom, appreciation, communication, trust, and anybody for 100 points, what's the S for?
Sincerity.
All right, thank you. All right, and don't ask me where you can use those points at, because I just made them up. But we also make up the definitions that we use for words. So how do you? I guess here's a good question to put out. How do you practice loving polyamory, meaning freedom in polyamory?
Mhm.
Anybody like to share? Charles, how are you free in polyamory, or are you?
Well, yeah, if you love that person, you're free to love who you want to love, and you should be able to. As far as love, the facts, freedom, appreciation, you know what I mean, communication, trust, and sincerity. So all that falls into play if you're talking about, we're talking the topic tonight, polygram. Let me say it. How you say it? Polyany, polygrammy. How you say it?
Polygrammy, Polygramicals.
Polyamory. I'm sorry, I'm messing with you. Again, you have to have all that in order to, even, partake in that, situation. So, again, I mean, it's I don't know, man. I mean, that's just my opinion, and I think with love, not any opinion, because like I said, if love is all of that, then you have to have that in order to have that type of relationship. So it all plays a part.
So then what would oh well, let's continue. Ebony, so the same question. How do you practice freedom, or do you practice freedom in polyamorous relationships?
I don't practice that yet.
You don't practice what? Freedom or polyamory?
Both. I
Okay.
mean, I'm free to do as I please, but in a relationship, it would probably need to be an understanding. So I do not practice polyamory yet. I would
Okay.
be open to it.
All right. So using what you said about polyamory, which is many like-minded people building together, what's the difference between that and what we're doing right now?
We're having a dialogue about understanding building right now.
Okay. So what I'm missing something from your definition. I'm missing what is different. What else is there in your definition of polyamory that makes you not practicing that, what you're saying polyamory is in your life, as opposed to us all here talking and having a conversation about it?
I'm not sure what's missing. I can't pinpoint that right now.
So are you 100% sure you're not practicing polyamory?
I'm not 100% sure if I go by the definition of polyamory. I'm practicing it right now on this call. Yes, I can agree with that.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, we're talking.
By the
Yeah, we're talking about the conversation, not what you do. Not necessarily saying that's what you do. We're just he asked just a specific question. That's all.
I was trying to answer it as specific as possible
Okay.
without talking about me.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, this is not. We ain't talking about. We're just talking. We're just having a conversation. That's all.
By the way, people gonna get triggered in this conversation, just so y'all know, and so allow for that. I hope we do, because avoiding triggers is not helpful. Just saying, for people who want to grow and learn and heal and etc. So I am, the trigger man. I'm your man if you want to get triggered. So, but the thing is, I asked everybody their definition because I want to use that in the conversation. Because if we just stick with the common thing, it always deals with sex. We all know that the common thing when you bring up polyamory is sex, having sex with many people, and usually indiscriminately, or it's a lot of negative connotations around it.
Right.
Arizel, you look like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just using the word relationship, people always connect it to sexual or romantic relationships specifically. Even though that's not inherently what the word means. So I think that's also why they do the same thing with the definition of polyamory, is that relationships in general, that word is only ever commonly used for romantic or sexual relationships.
Right.
It's true. It's a real narrow way that we, use the term, right? It's like, are you in a relationship? It's like you're in a relationship with your bank account. You're in a relationship with your hair. You're in a relationship, so many relationships. It's like, no, you know what I mean. No, I don't. That's why we're having to talk. If I knew what you mean, we wouldn't be having to talk about it.
Right.
Like, reading, writing, arithmetic. If this was a topic about, if I said, Charles is like, so Naeem, he's like hitting me up on Monday. What's the topic? I'm like, Charles, I got the topic. Everybody's going to love it. It's like, what is it? 2 + 2 =? Let's go. Let's go with this topic. It's like, what? 2 + 2 =, and then, yeah. I just want to know what people think about that. 2 + 2, what does it equal? We all know what 2 + 2 equals if we're doing standard mathematics. So it's not a, real topic of, it's just like, that's an agreement of math in addition. But when you're talking about words like relationships and polyamory, we do not have agreement on that. We don't. Not unless we talk about it first. And that's why it's like you get offended when someone says, oh, y'all in a relationship? It's like, no, we're not in a relationship. But wait, but you just introduced me to this person. So you are in a relationship with some, oh yeah, that's my friend. That's my, my sister, whatever.
Right.
But, I'm saying we not, having sex, Don't really want to say that, but that's what you're saying by not saying it. So I want us to just be upfront and straightforward with it, especially when there's some confusion. That's why I'm asking questions. So thank you. Izzy says, Arizel, great point.
Great point. Yep.
Anybody else?
Oh, that's it on this side here. So far.
I'd love to step in and say that my answer to your question, Naeem, and actually, because I wrote down some thoughts, but can you actually ask that question again, just so I can get back into that like mind frame?
Okay, I was we were talking about polyamory and healthy relationships, and I was laying out freedom, appreciation, communication, trust, sincerity, and as basic principles of healthy relationships. And since polyamorous relationships are still relationships, they can be healthy or unhealthy. That goes without saying, right? So I was asking if you agree that freedom is a tenet and a fundamental principle of a healthy relationship, how does that get expressed in a healthy polyamorous relationship based on what you mean by it? So could you talk?
One thought that I had when you asked that question was kind of just by it experiencing. I feel like so much of life we learn and kind of gather the tools and the language to understand how to navigate through life by experiencing and in experiences. And I feel like that's the way in which we can kind of explore that, is by just simply putting ourselves into situations where we can have experiences. And that comes with a lot. It comes with fear and vulnerability, being, in putting ourselves into situations that we might not necessarily be, comfortable with or knowing, what I mean? Kind of stepping into this unknown. And I think a lot of polyamory comes with that, is that, like, societally, it's not, it's not something that, like for instance, you looked it up and there's 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different definitions of it on Google. It's because we're still writing the book about what polyamory is. We're still defining it through conversations like this and through building communities and exploring, and I'll use the word again, experiencing. So I feel like, even this is my own personal truth. A lot of the stuff that I've learned about, how I navigate through polyamorous and open relationships is by the experiences that I've had, the failures that I've had, so that I can learn from them and learn how to improve upon them to make them better for myself and other partners. And again, this steps into romantic stuff where Arizal made a great point where like, you know, or all of us kind of made that point of just like, you know, relationships comes with this connotation where it's just like, I consider myself to be in a relationship with all of you as well. I mean,
right.
We can call it a friendship, but what's a friendship? It's a relationship with another human being.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, experiences. I think that's what I'm trying to like really just roll on. It's just like, that's how we figure anything out in life. And it's just by experiencing, failing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that we're in a relationship, Crisco?
You know it, baby.
Well, now we know. Everybody knows now, Crisco. Damn. So, and by the way, I meant to say, thank you, everybody.
I want to
want
bring my computer up to the rooftops and scream it.
Thank you for your answer, Crisco, about experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And also for everybody who's contributing on here, I'm not asking you to put out your personal business or information, like, you know, who you're having sex with or not, or any of that. I'm not asking that. I'm asking for you to help us explore, like Crisco said, writing the book on this term and what it means.
Right.
So you got to start with what it means to you. Don't just take what you think it means or what you think I think or somebody else thinks it means or what Google says it means. We're all free here, which means we're free to define it as we want, free to live it as we want. Like Dreddy Gal says, living and loving freely, free to use it. It's just a word, right? It doesn't define you. You use the word to serve you if it can or not. So thank you for that, Crisco. Dreddy Gal's comments here says, agree with what folks have said. Sometimes polyamory is presented in a negative way and stigmatized.
The program.
Thank you, the program. So the program's like, yeah, polyamory, you know, you need to be burned at the stake. Yeah, man. Program voice. Dreddiga also says, I've been wondering if we could rethink polyamory as being part of our human experience generally. As human beings, we love multiple people, assuming we love ourselves and at least one other person. So, any thoughts on that?
I have a question. So since we're defining it on our own, right? What's the difference with saying the word polyamory and relationship if we're using them interchangeable? They're two different words that, if I'm hearing correctly, we're saying have the same definition via relationship. Relationship is a relationship is what you make of it. So is polyamory. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's one and the same as opposed to the definition that it was created upon to say one that is different.
I think that's what's stigmatized about the word is kind of the programmatic kind of like definition of it having to be sexual experiences with multiple people, which is why so many other people that have been exploring polyamory since, I mean, historically, polyamorous relationships date back, to, more ancient times, kind of like civilizations through like different cultures. And, only up until recently in this, in America, in this country in particular, we kind of like wrote that book of monogamy and what relationships should be. And that's why when we kind of talk about polyamory, it's just like, no, it's got to be this one definition. And I feel like since the 60s, people have kind of just been like, well, no, it doesn't have to be that. It could be more of that. And I think that's why we're here today, almost trying to step away from those definitions of it and try to make it more so like what you're saying, like,
right.
Have an understanding of it, be that it's polyamory isn't just these romantic relationships. You can be a polyamorous person and have multiple romantic relationships, but you could also just have one romantic relationship, but also multiple friendships or multiple relationships that serve other things that your one partner might not be able to fulfill,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
I
think
feel like
it
that's what we're
has
trying
to
to
do
go.
with those relationships being loving. Because,
Mhm.
like, you also have a bunch of business relationships that aren't necessarily loving. Like, you may not really have any form of intimacy or depth of connection to them.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably the other difference in regards to polyamorous relationships specifically is that it's many loving relationships, which I feel like implies a certain depth of connection or closeness versus just relating in general, like somebody being your associate or somebody that you met once or something, which you can still have a relationship with, but it's still a shallow one because
And
it's
love
not one
too.
that's intimate or like loving or with
Mm.
depth, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that's important, Arizal, and it's interesting, like, to get onto a much broader topic of like just having love in every part of relating, and even I love the idea of having a business relationship with people that I work with. My specific job is my job is very specific rather, but like, if I worked more of a stereotypical 9 to 5 where I had more associates, I feel like I would want to approach those relationships with love too, because that would only good could come out of that,
Mhm.
And obviously there's a lot surrounded by that, but I don't want to get off topic too much.
Oh, this is a great conversation. Welcome, Olubade. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Izzy says, I would think.
Good.
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead.
Naim, no, go ahead, Naim. Go ahead. You got it.
Oh, okay. I would think the freedom would be in having a mutual agreement and understanding. There's plenty of freedom in that, even with friendships. Thank you, Izzy.
Thanks.
And Shannon says a couple of things. She says there's a great book called Sex at Dawn. It's called Sex at Dawn, that talks about early human history before we created the concept of land ownership and switched from being hunter-gatherers to farmers. We were all polyamorous.
Okay.
She also says they actually say if human history is a clock, we have been trying to be monogamous for 1 minute on the clock.
That's interesting.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that, Shannon. And Olubade, thank you for joining us.
Hey.
You're on mute.
I took him. I put him on mute. He's making noise. I'm sorry. I got you now. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Sound like you guys are having a very lively discussion there, Naeem.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Yeah, let's get it on. Sorry to be late.
No worries.
Your message. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got the link. Not so close to 7. So, but anyway, thank you all for joining. And the question we put out was, what does polyamory mean to you? So we were just trying to find out where people's heads were about the word, the terminology, before we went forward with the discussion. So could you tell us what it means to you? Polyamory, aka open relationships. Is it the same thing? Is it different? What does that mean to you a little bit?
You're putting me on the spot here now. So I recently just got out of a computer relationship that was I didn't call it an open relationship. I just called it a relationship in which we acknowledged each person's kind of autonomy over their sexual agency, and far be it from me to tell anybody what, to stop having sex at a certain point in their life and only have it with me. And then I didn't want anyone to tell me that as well. So I didn't really give it a label. So when people would say open relationship or polyamory or that kind of stuff, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that we've both valued that quality of freedom. And so that's where that was. So I try to stay away from the labeling. That relationship is over now, but I'd have loved to explore how that went. Polyamory, I've tampered with in my mind. It's kind of, wow, that could be interesting. But I think whatever you decide the relationship is, it really has to be anchored in a vision, in a powerful vision that's authentic to each person, but can be inhabited by both. So for me, the question is really, what is the vision, and does the lifestyle that we're putting forth support the delivery of our gifts as individuals, or does it tamper with our well-being and our ability to be the people that we're sent into this plane to be? That really, for me, is the larger question. So, I don't know. I'm full of questions. I don't have answers, but I know what's important to me is the delivery of my gift. And how does the relationship that I'm in support that? It becomes valuable in relation to that. in relationship to how it makes me feel, the wellness, how it prepares me to be in the world.
Awesome.
Wow, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
You jumped in strong. You made it such a splash that all the water is out of the pool.
Right.
We're just walking around the bottom of the pool now. Thank you for that.
I'm ready to turn my camera off now. Thank you.
Hey. Well, you know, it takes a while to get to 60 years old. I'm 61, so I've been through many things, and I've asked
hear
myself
that.
some questions. And, you know, I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me. So it's like, hey, you know, I know what I know and I know what I don't. And I love the idea of just being in questions, because questions are going to bring on the experiences and the answers that are needed. So, yeah.
Being in the question, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also, I thank you for what you said about being anchored in a vision. And Dreddy Gal here on the comment says, "Love that, Alubade." And talking about being anchored in a vision is the same idea that I talk about in my books, pretty much all of them, about a purpose. What is your purpose?
Right.
You know, what is your personal purpose, and what is your collective purpose that you know you can both inhabit, right? That purpose or that vision for your relationship. And as creators, as free beings, we can create a relationship vehicle or foundation, whatever you want to call it, to how we want it to be. And that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Did Arizel, did you finish sharing what you were sharing? I feel like you didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't get to answer the question about
Right.
freedom in regards to polyamory. I definitely, again, I did resonate with. I thought it was really cool that Crisco brought up experiences, because I definitely do feel that freedom to experience is a really big thing. I find that often in how people practice their monogamous relationships, it is definitely a means of controlling your partner and controlling your partner's experiences, particularly with other people, and policing those experiences. But also, it's just freedom to be, like freedom to be as you are and to relate as you do naturally, which is also something that is kind of taken away in how people practice their monogamous relationships. It's not to say that monogamy inherently does that, because especially if both of those people are monogamous and that's how they wish to relate, that's totally fine. And they could still do that in healthy ways. I've just found that the common approach to monogamous relating is to police your partner in how they express themselves, how they relate with others, and overall the kinds of experiences that they have. So I would definitely say it's the freedom to be who you are, and to live your life in a natural way.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well said.
And
go
go ahead, Crisco.
No, I think that Arizel hit
And let's go on mute if we're not talking, just to say. But go ahead, Crisco.
I think Arizel hit some wonderful things and was also very mindful and tender about, you know, everyone can be what they want to do. Monogamy isn't necessarily, you know, people can practice it and it's fine. Like, we're obviously not poo-pooing monogamy. It's just that it's Arizel just nailed it for me, where it's just like the freedom to just create this experience of what you want, and what we want is to not necessarily be controlled, you know what I mean, or feel like we're being controlled. And I'll touch back on like what I said earlier. I think that there's a lot of fear and vulnerability in trying, you know, to open up to polyamory, and polyamorous, like, kind of like, I guess for lack of a better term, like experiences, but they don't all have to be sexual. They can always start in, you know, kind of places that we're already used to, like friendships, and kind of like figure out and, you know, write language and understanding as we kind of continue with those experiences. I feel like we kind of like psych ourselves out, you know, and it's like, oh, the polyamorous is this big thing. Like, I got to have, you know, all of these relationships with all these kind of people, and you kind of scare yourself before you even kind of define it for yourself. So.
That's because you're talking about sex, Crisco. That's what polyamory has to do with. And get my program voice. You know, y'all talking about sex. Y'all trying to sound all intellectual and all this freedom.
Right.
And polyamory is community. It's relationship. All that. Y'all just want to have sex with everybody. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to throw that in there because that's what people thinking. So go ahead, Bo.
Right.
Dreddy Gal says, great points, Arizel. What you said also connects with form and content. People can practice policing in relationships, in monogamous relationships and in poly relationships. So the form, mono or poly, can be grounded in freedom or fear. Thank you, Dreddy Gal. And I think we did do a show before, Charles, about either monogamy or infidelity or both. And in doing so, I remember asking people about what is monogamy, what is infidelity, what is cheating. That came up, and there were some interesting answers because people were saying that cheating is not just sexual sometimes. Oh, it could be, oh, this person's texting someone else, or they're talking to somebody else, or they're, liking their ex's posts on social media. And so it's interesting, what Arizel said about controlling people's experiences with other people,
Right.
and because Crisco mentioned, putting our situations where we can have experiences with other people. You didn't necessarily say have sex with other people. And so if someone's insecurities is saying, you going out to lunch with your ex tonight and we're in a monogamous relationship, I feel like that's a violation and I don't want you to do that, or, there's a problem, then, or there's some kind of ultimatum or some kind of attack that's going to follow that, then that is a form of policing, even though it may not be sexual at all. And so that's, and then the question is freedom. How is that expressing freedom if someone is going to tell you how you can arbitrarily come out of the blue of how you can relate to someone else just because how they feel about it suddenly, right? So just questions, as Illuminate said, we're just asking questions right now. But go ahead, Erica.
Yeah. I also feel like that inherently illustrates a distrust of your partner. Like, it doesn't really matter who my partner is talking to. If I trust them and I already know how they handle themselves, and I trust that like they respect me in our relationship, like, why would I be worried? You know what I mean? So I do feel like oftentimes that policing inherently illustrates feelings of distrust towards one's partner.
And I feel that why would you be worried, to answer that question with that hypothetical? I feel like you would be worried because of what we talked about at the very beginning of this, that fear, that fear of, like, being hurt. And what does that mean too, to be hurt in this hypothetical of like going out to dinner with your ex? Yeah, you have it. I get it. We're all human beings. Like, we can all come up with different fears of why we wouldn't want that to necessarily happen. But I know for me, in this particular hypothetical instance, I approach all my relationships with love first. And so I have that loving understanding to know that, okay, I'm experiencing maybe some fear, but I can't control. This person needs to have their own experiences of their life, and that's something they want to do it. But we can communicate and we can talk about that. I can open up and talk about my feelings and vulnerabilities, and we can find common ground or understanding. And then I won't necessarily be fearful anymore, and I'll feel really good, and they can feel really good. And that, approaching things with love is kind of where you open the door for these wonderful experiences. I feel like that we don't have as human beings. We choke ourselves from having some of these experiences with this lack of communication, with this fear. So.
Yeah, then again, the question would be, and I mean, it's just a normal question. Why would you have, dinner with your ex anyway? I mean, that's just me. You know what I'm saying?
I have a great answer. I think to get closure, I think if you're in a healthy place and you want to have dinner with your ex, I think getting closure to heal from like past experiences, trauma, I think that could be one particular reason, just to answer that hypothetical from a loving kind of place. But like, obviously some relationships could be, they could end very poorly, and so I get where you're coming from with that. But
or maybe it's my favorite 5-star restaurant and they're treating. Oh shoot, it doesn't even matter at this point.
I don't know. That ain't good enough. I don't know, man.
My birthday is their birthday. We're still free. Remember, Chuck, we're free.
No, we're free, and I get that. I mean, I get that 100%. But at the end of the day, like I said, like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm getting ready to go to dinner with my ex. I mean, that sounds, I don't know. I don't know. But again, if you love this person, you have to, the freedom, you know what I mean? And you have to communicate as well. So maybe you can communicate, just like you said, Crisco, about the whole situation to see exactly why are you going. I mean, what is the purpose of going to dinner with this person? So,
Yeah,
Or
in this sorry, go ahead, Ebony.
if we're all polyamorous, why aren't we all going to dinner with our ex?
Exactly.
all right, there you go.
What I was
I mean, this is right. We're in a group here. This is all polyamorous. There's no sexual anything involved. We're all in a relationship. So it's just like us building this dialogue now, right? We're bringing a friend to meet an ex-friend to go have dinner because we trust each other and we're free to appreciate the fact that we would like to meet the person that has helped shape my partner in the past. So look at it that way, Chuck. We're all going together. Teamwork.
And they're cheating.
Okay.
They're treating too.
Yes.
They're treating.
Even
Hey,
if they're not
hey,
treating,
that's awesome.
Naeem,
they're
stop that.
treating each
Right.
other.
I mean, that's great, but
Chuck, we're going together. Remember, it's all of us.
if we're going to, that's cool. You know
We're
what I'm
all
saying?
at the table together.
Right.
2, 3, 4 of us, 5 of us, however many friends we
Right,
need to be there. We're all in this together.
And that's
Here's
cool.
a question.
That's cool.
Yes.
Here's
Yes.
Here's another hypothetical. If this poly means many, I think at least we all agree on that. Does that mean that everyone you're in a polyamorous relationship with have to meet or know everyone else? Yes or no? What do you think, Charles?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean,
Ebony.
I will communicate it. I mean, if man, that's a question. I would think you would, because the only reason I say that is because if you're going to be open with the relationship, they need to know everything. So I would say, yeah. I mean, if you had a relationship with another person, I'm going to go with yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so all right, so you go, yeah, Ebony. What do you say?
Trust.
So will you tell a
Yes.
person that you're in a relationship with about all of your other relationships?
Yes.
Okay. Alubade? You're on mute again. Yes. You like doing mute on mute.
Yeah. I don't really want to hear about your ex and what went on there, because I tend to default into listener mode and solving and healer mode. And I don't really want to be involved in the healing part of your journey with that relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because I just, I really like relationships, even if they're polyamorous and I'm in many relationships with many different people. I want to know that each of my relationship, there's a frequency that does not involve a third person, that is personal and direct. So I can love you, but the minute I start loving the energy of the trio and diminish the energy between me and that one person, anything that gets in that way, I kind of like saying, yeah, because then the gossip starts, you see, and then the triangulation starts, and then all of this kind of stuff, it begins to get a little messy. So, no, but even in our friendships, we are polyamorous, but that doesn't say I have a relationship with you, I have a relationship with Chuck. And both relationships can be held with integrity among the three of us. So what is the ethos and what is the etiquette that allows for that to happen?
Right.
For each relation to stand in its own integrity. Question.
You better tell me when you talking to Chuck, and if it was for 5 minutes, you better talk to me for 6 minutes. That's what it is.
Not like that. But what I'm saying is, they should have an understanding of what's going on. If it's going to be, like you said, a polyamory relationship. We do have a question here. Before, I just want to get this out because it's been here for a minute. It says, hello, and listening to the conversation and what's been said, the question I asked, can an open relationship be healthy? I would say yes.
Yes.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly what we're talking about. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Lakaya. Let me make sure I got a name right. Lakaya. Yes, indeed. Thanks for that question there.
And thank you for that Alubade about having a direct connection with someone that doesn't have to involve a third party. It doesn't have to. It can, but it doesn't have to. And that's that makes a lot of sense. Arizel, you have a comment on that question?
Yeah, no. because if I don't have to tell my friends that about every other single friend and every other person that I know in my life,
Mhm.
I would not have to do the same. I feel like if they ask questions, I should answer them honestly. But also, not all of my partners are the same, and not all of their needs are the same. Not all of my partners want to hear about my other partners.
And
They
that's what
just
we're
want to
going
know whether or not I'm being
Yeah.
ethical and
Mhm.
responsible in how I'm relating to other people.
Yeah.
That's what they primarily want to know. But they don't, and not everybody's going to get along either, because all of the people that I know are very different and very individual. So like maybe some of them will get along, and there's people I thought that would get along and they didn't. So like not everybody needs to know each other, not everybody needs to know about each other. I feel like it'd be nice because I am trying to build a community, so I would like for everyone to be able to know each other and get along, but that's not always realistic, honestly, and that's also not always what everybody wants.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I'm going back to what you just said, and that's what I was saying. If it was brought up, then I was, feel obligated to, let the person know what's going on. But I don't like not necessarily just come out like here it is, boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? So I got that's where I was going with it. So thanks.
So,
Thank
and
you.
most, to my understanding from relationships that I've been around, if you're intimate, sometimes a person asks, are you intimate with other people? If you don't, I'm not saying tell everything, no details and all that other stuff, but to allow that person the knowledge of actually saying yes or no, or yes, I might be sleeping with more than one person, if that is the case, or yes, I communicate. If I'm not telling a person the truth of what I'm doing and certain aspects of my life, I feel like I'm taking your freedom away from you. And I wouldn't want that to be done to me, because if, let's say as an example, if it were me and we're in a XYZ relationship and I don't know that you're doing something else. Well, let's say we walk past each other in the street, or we're in an awkward position. Well, that person doesn't know, or I don't know, even though we're all free. Not everybody's personality, just to what you're saying, Arizal, is not everybody's personality is built to deal with what they may find out without being provided the freedom by actually knowing, so they can make the choice on whether or not they want to be involved with a person like that. If I can't be comfortable enough in saying to you, this is my lifestyle and this is what I do, then I'm taking my own freedom away. So when I say I would have to tell me my personality, yes, I want you to know, because I want you to be free enough to make your own decision on whether you're going to play the position that I'm providing you in my life. Or if you want to say, this is not something for me, but I don't ever want you to be blindsided. I want you to be able to trust me because I want to be able to trust you.
Thank you, Ebony.
You're welcome.
Going back to what HT Lovejoy says, I think
On
back
point.
in our original was seems like you're asking permission. I think that was in our other discussion, and not your business. When everybody have to know about everybody. Charity Gal says, agree with HT Lovejoy. If there are sexual interactions, think you should share. You are having sexual interactions with others. Details, though, none of your business. As long as folks are practicing safe sex. Okay. So caught up on those comments. Crisco, you had something you was gonna share.
Well, to answer that original question, one thing that you said when you asked the question, and it's so funny. I wish we can rewind so I can remember exactly how you said it. But there was a buzzword that I remember focusing on where it was just like, what do we tell our other, polyamorous relationships? And I remember thinking like, I don't view it that way. I consider myself to be a polyamorous person who engages in relationships. You know what I mean? I feel like a big part of the disconnect with kind of polyamory and so many of the different definitions is that we're defining them as all these polyamorous relationships. And it's just like, no, I'm a polyamorous person and all of my relationships serve a particular purpose. They're all different. Like I said, my relationship to all of you it serves this purpose of getting together and having this wonderful conversation. And I cherish it. I love it. I enter it with love and trust. And, the relationships that I have that I engage with others that are more familial kind of, platonic stuff, like those those are just, they are what they are. They're just relationships. And I enter them from my, understanding of what is this to me, and what, why is this important person or group of people important to me? What do I get from it? What do I give it? I think Alubade, if I'm not mistaken, said like, what is that kind of like purpose? We're all here on Earth, kind of like we have a magic, we have a purpose for one another. And so I approach a lot of my relationships with, how can I serve this for this person as well? And so with the romantic ones, to get down to that kind of question, I'm in a polyamorous romantic relationship, multiple partners, and I'm talking romantic sexual. And, if they're rooted in trust and understanding. And Arizel said everything already that I kind of would wanted to have said on that topic of just, we have a level of communication where if something's brought up, we talk about it. We talk about what we can in the context of the ways in which they're brought up. And I guess to kind of like put an end to that, Arizel kind of said how I feel. So I just want to mirror and reflect Arizel. So yeah.
Thank you. I want to go back to what you said. You said, I'm a polyamorous person who engages in many different relationships, different kinds of relationships. That's what you said, right? All right. See, so that's a different spin on it than what we're normally used to hearing. And that's why I want people to hear that again. And you began to answer the question about what does polyamory mean to you, Crisco, by defining the word, like poly meaning many and amor meaning love, many, love. And you were saying that the root of it is love. And so you didn't say the root of it was sex.
It's love.
So it helps me understand where you're coming from when we go back to what you mean, instead of just everybody just taking what they think everybody else thinks this word means and then going forward. That's how we have very chaotic and non-progressive conversations. So I want to thank everybody for contributing to this conversation, because it's great. I learned a lot, and I want to share something at the end. We're nearing the end, but I want to share a project I'm working on where this conversation was a gateway into that project. But first, I want to ask if anyone has any other thoughts or questions that they want to share in closing before we sign off. Starting with you, Charles. Oh, go ahead, Arizona.
I guess the last thing I was going to say was I definitely resonated with what Ebony was saying. I think it's very important that especially depending on the kind of relationship you are trying to engage in with someone, so especially and specifically in romantic and sexual relationships, especially because those come with so many more expectations about how they should go, I think it's always important to have these conversations at the beginning. This is how I operate. These are the kinds of this is just how, I move in the world. I feel like your friends should also know these things about you, because your friends should know who you are as a person. I think that's, what you were also talking about as far as like the facts, like starting with the freedom of being who you are, being able to be honest about who you are and not feel guilt or shame surrounding it, I think is extremely important. And so that starts with being able to state freely, honestly, and openly, this is who I am, this is how I operate, this is, what I want from life.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else?
I think that is our time almost up. Are you wrapping things up?
Yes, I'm wrapping.
I definitely think that there is so much more to get into with this discussion about polyamory, and some topics that we didn't necessarily kind of get to hit. And I think that one of them is kind of like, how do we navigate through some of the harder experiences that we kind of have that come with this is particularly romantic, like relationships, and moving through some of that stuff in positive, kind of healthy manners with partners and with one another. Things with vulnerabilities and jealousy and sex and romance and all that kind of stuff too. And I feel like that would be great to talk about at another time too. Just bringing that up, like we kind of just barely scratched the surface,
Yes.
Yeah, Naim, yeah, I think the last thing I want to say is that I really agree with this brother who just spoke, because you have to know why you're putting yourself in a relationship, because a relationship can ultimately be an awesome school of learning where we get to dissolve our own boundaries and really get to grow, which is also part of our reason for our journey here. So the choice to be in a polyamorous relationship or any kind of relationship, I think it's also useful, as your book says, Naeem, to be clear about what is the school of learning that we're entering and what is it that we're looking to learn, and just be open to learn whatever the configuration of the relationship.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is awesome discussion like always, Naeem, and thanks everybody for all of the answers. And I mean, like I said, it's just so much. Oh, did you guys see that? Wait a minute.
Was that one of your other partners, Charles? No, I didn't see him.
Something's
Bring
blank.
him.
No, it was going in and out. I was just wondering, making sure we were okay. I didn't know if we cut off or not. But
Oh no, we're here.
it was just interesting, the degrees of this polyamorous relationships, and how it's just like a lot of things you wouldn't think of as polyamorous, and how they all come together. So again, it's awesome topic, interesting topic, and definitely want to revisit it again and maybe try to break it down, in the different subtitles. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So,
right.
Yep.
That's really good. And thank you all for participating, because I'm so glad, Crisco, we almost didn't have you earlier that on the show. I'm glad that you were able to join. Arizel, it's like the Love 101 Feel Good Talk family coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm loving it. We'll definitely come back to this topic, and as you said, more subtopics in the topic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything else, anyone?
I just want to say, Ebony and Alubade, it was nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, said
Same
wonderful
here.
things today. So and Arizel too,
You're
like
welcome.
Charles, Naeem, it was great. I had a blast.
Yeah, too, man. Awesome topic, and awesome answers, and it was awesome. I had a good time. Just listening. I just was listening.
But remember, Chuck, we're all going together. Okay.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
To the restaurant.
Yeah,
Wherever we're going.
Big fish. So let me stop.
Wherever we're going, we're in this together. Be free to appreciate the fact that you trust yourself to know that we are free.
That's right. Yes, we are. We all are. Yes, indeed. So, hey.
I would like to open the floor, Alubade, my fellow author as well, if you'd like to share your vision, your big vision project, just so people here could look it up and perhaps be a part if they would like to be. And you're on mute again.
Naeem, thank you for providing the opportunity for me to be here to tell you about this project that is really awesome. First, it's a global project, and it's called Bloom Big 2021. So it's hashtag, search for it on social media, Bloom Big 2021. And it's the whole idea of creating a massive network, global network of frequencies of people who are working on big projects. And by big projects, I mean they're working on big, impossible goals. And the whole idea here is that the projects are set up in a particular way. It excavates your life purpose, your passions, your talents, the gift that you have that heals yourself and your community at the same time, that's valuable and that's specific and measurable. So it's an elementally calibrated project that has various frequencies in it. And so I'm building the global collective between Europe, the UK, the Caribbean, here in the United States, and of course in the motherland. And so right now I'm working with collectives of people so that when you put that hashtag on a project that you're working with, you can actually find other people around the world who are working on projects that are at a particular frequency, like a man on the moon by the end of the decade, really mind-blowing projects, and they're looking for partnerships. So it's a way for you to check out people's projects and network with them and find people. And so my big impossible goal is to build a global network of 5 million people in the conversation on the level of that frequency. So hashtag on Instagram here, it's just getting started. Bloom, BLOOM, big BIG 2021. and all the information is there. This is our time to bloom, people. Come on, let's do this, okay?
Awesome.
Peace
Awesome.
and blessings. Bloom big
Thank you.
2021.
Awesome.
Thank you, Naeem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Olubode. Yes. And also find his book of the same name, Bloom,
Bloom
on
the
Amazon.
Bloom the Essential Journey. Thank you so much.
Bloom the Essential Journey. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you find anything about botanicals and growing flowers, it's not that. That's not that one. We're talking about Bloom the Essential Journey.
Yeah. It's a book about
But,
life balance and expansion.
Right.
Personal growth book. Okay. Thank you.
yes. And I'm also working on a project where this conversation is going to be part of it. We're talking about everything from commitment, loyalty, possession, sexual exclusivity, non-exclusivity, cheating, all of that. I would like at least 10, starting with 10. Anonymous. You don't have to be anonymous, but I'm providing the opportunity to be anonymous. Volunteers to join, because it's going to be an anthology, a book where we're going to ask specific questions about those things that we all know about, but we don't really talk about, like, have you ever cheated? Have you been cheated on? Why did you do it? What were your feelings? How were you, why were you hurt? All those sort of things, so that we can get that out there. And my whole goal is to see the thread of unity, meaning we're all the same. We're dealing with the same thing in different forms at different times in our lives, and to give people a platform to talk about the things that you're never really going to be able to talk about safely in the form of a collective book. So it's not just me writing the book, it's me facilitating the conversation and the questions, as Olubode said, for people to contribute their responses about these very hot and trigger topics, particularly around sex, control, monogamy, polygamy, cheating, etc. So I don't have a name for it yet, but if you want to have more information, or at least get on the list to be a part of that, then email me at love101media@gmail.com. It's easy. love101media@gmail.com. If you can't remember that, just take my name, Naeem@naeemnajib.com. So other than that, I'm done. Thanks everybody for joining.
Hey man, it was awesome as always. And anybody got anything before we go? Anybody else? Ebony, Crisco, you good? Okay. All right. Well, again, awesome topics again, Naeem. Thank you, everyone that joined. I definitely appreciate it. We appreciate it. And again, this is Feel Good Talk Love 101. I'm your host, Charles Brakely, along with my man Naeem, Ebony, Crisco, Arizel. I got to get that right. And I don't want to mess your name up, brother.
Olubode.
Olubode. There you go. Thank you. Hey, we're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Much love.
Same time, Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on Feel Good Talk, Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. Again, we're out of here. See you when we see you. Peace.
Peace.